Hi everyone, it's Mark here. I'm the founder of the Arts and Culture Network, and I use these little videos to keep a running tally of how many people we've got in our groups. I think we're at 26,563 in our main LinkedIn group, the Arts and Culture Network group, and rapidly approaching 8,000 in our opportunities, careers and jobs group on LinkedIn. So do please check them out. And I'm delighted to be joined by one of our latest full members. I'm joined by Patrick Duncan. Patrick is I've just had a long chat with Patrick, and Patrick's founded in the art of poetry, but he's also a producer and a director and an event creator around that. So Patrick, thank you so much for joining me to do this today.
Thank you, Mark. It's nice to be with you.
Great, that's great. And one other thing, I also need to thank you for being one of our full members, and because every little helps. We've got an increasing number of full members paying at the moment, I think about £10 a month, which is I guess about $12, or it's £100 a year, or which is probably about $120. So thank you so much for being one of our members. So whereabouts are you based, Patrick?
I'm based in Lithonia, Georgia, which is a suburb of Atlanta, Georgia. So I'm in Atlanta, Georgia.
Excellent. And tell me a little bit about the poetry show. I'm really interested in the shows that you produce, because they're kind of they're multiple art forms. So tell me a little about the latest one. I think you said it was in January.
I have an entertainment company called Scobie Entertainment, LLC, which I started in 2015. And I produce a lot of entertainment. In January, I produced my first show of the year. It was me doing poetry along with two other poets, along with my band and a vocalist as well. We did it at a local bookstore because I like to try to support the businesses in my area. And the bookstore is a bookstore that I frequent, and I bought several of my books from. I have a great relationship with the owner. And so I was able to give his bookstore a lot of notoriety and people in the neighborhood who didn't know about the bookstore very aware of the bookstore. And he's gotten a lot of business now because we were able to have the show there with me and my band. So I did that in January. And I also have a poetry show in itself called Wordplay, which I started producing in 2014 for up-and-coming streaming network at the time. And at that time, I had never heard of Roku and all these different streaming networks. But the show is called Wordplay. It consists of a host. I don't host the show. I'm the executive producer, creator, and director of the show. So there's a host, there's the band, of course. There's 6 poets. The poets are given 5 to 6 minutes to do original poetry. The poets are interviewed after their performance and are able to let the audience know a little bit about them. And also they can give the audience their social media handles so they can be followed on social media as well. But the show is called Wordplay.
That's great. I love the idea of that. And do any of the poets, is there, I forgive my ignorance, but is there such a thing as improvised poetry?
Yes, there is, but the show, there's no improvising on the show because I'm doing a very, what I would call clean show. That's a conscious show. And so there's no profanity with the poetry. So I screen the poets and their poetry as well, and I make it very clear about the no profanity. I want everybody who's coming to the show to be comfortable and to be able to enjoy it. And I feel as though if you are a poet, you should be able to express yourself in many different ways. There are several times I did the Gullah Festival in Beaufort, South Carolina. I did it last year, and I did it in 2018, again in 2019. And in my contract, it says no profanity. And so as a poet, there are some times I may use some profanity here and there, but in this situation, and you be a professional in what you're doing, you should be able to walk into any room. So you should have content that could fit any necessary area. So I was able to perform there and be compensated well for it because I had poetry, plenty of poetry, but there was no profanity.
That's great. Yeah, somebody who's gifted in any kind of spoken word art form should be able to work around that. And if you depend on using profanity as a shock tactic, you're probably failing somewhere else. You know, it's yeah, absolutely. No, I admire that. And how many poems have you written, Patrick? It must be mounting up now.
I have a nice little catalog now. I would probably say 200.
Nice.
So I'm very, it's very diverse. I try to tap into all of my experiences, and not just my experience as being a African American man, but as I said, me and my wife been together for 33 years. I have children, so I tap into all of my experiences. A lot of poetry, love poetry, inspirational poetry, motivational poetry. Of course, I have poetry that is very specific to African Americans for us, encouraging us as well. But I'm a believer that even when I'm trying to empower African American men and women, I don't have to degrade anybody else. So all of my content is uplifting. I've had people of all different races embrace my work and compliment me on my work, and the fact that I can write a piece that's very specific and detailed for African Americans, but it's not degrade anybody else.
Yeah.
Because I believe that true empowerment does not degrade.
Yeah, that if you can be supportive without being denigrating to any other segment of our community, then that's absolutely the way to go. That sounds great. And where can our members or the visitors or our viewers find your work if they wanted to learn more?
Well, you can go to my website at patricksduncan.com, and they can give you a more full detail about my poetry, when I started, and some of the events and festivals that I perform. If you want to hear some of the poetry, you can go to patricksduncan.hearnow. That's HEARNOW.com. And you can also do that on the website. If you get to the website and you can click on the link says listen to Patrick's poetry, it'll take you directly to the Patrick S. Duncan hearnow.com.
Right. Oh, I'm going to have a listen. I'm looking forward to that. I'll do that later today. That's great. And in terms of making connections in our network, I can already think of people I'd love to introduce you to. I don't know if you've come across Keonis Thomas. He's an artist. He's ex-military, but he's a really gifted pencil artist. He's in St. Louis, and I'll connect you too, because there might be some kind of opportunity to collaborate. I'm sure he'd love to meet you. He's a lovely guy as well. So I will make those connections. But in terms of furthering, raising more awareness for the poetry and the events that you do, who are some really good, how would you describe the sort of person who would be really useful in terms of helping you either find opportunities for shows or just getting the words out literally? What would be a good, I call it the champagne referral. If I were to introduce, I mean, Keonis might be the one, but is there any type of person who or any job role that I could use to keep an eye out for, so that I can refer you?
Well, I'm definitely looking for grants.
For grants?
And so I'm looking for grants, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm looking for grants. So if there are any individuals who aware a lot of grants that are catered toward the arts community, grants that they feel like as though
Yeah,
literary grants. I know a lot of grants only give the 501c, but there are several grants that do give to LLCs as
yeah,
well. And so I'm definitely looking for the grant opportunity.
yeah.
That's one of my big focus over the last few years. I was fortunate enough in 2020 to get a grant from Facebook.
Wow, that's
Yes,
great.
yes, they were impressed with wordplay and the amount of effort that I put into wordplay as independently. And so I received a grant from them in November 2020, which was great. And I think that's a great avenue to go to raise the funding and not have to spend your own money.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you can spend more and more time working on doing the work and getting it out there, which is great. Well, I'll have a good look and think about people. About 35% of the members of our global community are based in North America. So it's quite a sizable number of people. So I'll mention that when we publish this to the LinkedIn group, the videos, I'll mention that. But listen, Patrick, in the meantime, wherever this video appears, it'll be on the YouTube channel, it'll be on the website, and it'll be in our LinkedIn groups. I'll make sure that there are links to your website so that people can come and enjoy your poetry and also potentially help you with introductions to grant funders, family offices who are philanthropic, and organizations that like to support the arts and culture network in their community. So, but thank you for being a full member. I'm looking forward to the other conversations that we're going to have. But in the meantime, thank you so much, Patrick.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it.